Hi, I'm Stephanie Swanberg, the Government and Regional Affairs Director for the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to Session Spotlight. This short, business-focused weekly update spotlights legislative happenings in Olympia that are relevant to the Tri-Cities business community. We're now in week 11 of the 2021 Washington State legislative session. On St. Patrick's Day, the new forecast showed the largest quarterly forecast change on record. Legislative budget writers now have $5 billion more available in state funds than what was forecast in November. The biggest topic on the Hill continues to be Substitute Senate Bill 5096, the capital gains income tax bill. It hasn't been put on the House Finance Committee agenda for executive session yet, but because it's a fiscal bill, the committee has until April 2nd to act. But as an FYI, the bill was amended under its third hearing at a Senate floor debate to remove the emergency clause, which made the bill subject to referendum. This means that state voters could weigh in on the tax in November if opponents gather enough signatures to put it on the ballot. Other bills that are seeing action include Senate Bill 5126, the Climate Commitment Act. It received a public hearing this week in the Senate Ways and Means Committee. This complicated caps and tax bill with a 75-page fiscal note would set a statewide emissions limit. The allowable emissions would decline each year. Companies would get a permit to emit that they would purchase at an auction run by the Department of Ecology. This bill is scheduled for executive session in Ways and Means today at 4 p.m. The Senate Energy and Technology Committee held a public hearing on House Bill 1280 that requires most public facilities to incorporate practices that reduce greenhouse gas emissions in their building design and to consider the use of all electric energy systems. It is an informational bill and requires that all public structures look into the cost-benefit analysis of electrification. 1280 is scheduled for executive session next week. Last week, the House Finance Committee held a hearing on House Bill 1362, an act that proposes changing the annual property tax growth limit from a 1% increase to a formula that ties increases to population changes and inflation, capping annual increases to 3%. If it passes, the new law would affect property taxes levied starting in 2022. Let's move on to Engrossed Substitute Senate Bill 5321. This is an act to expand access to the College-Bound Scholarship Program. It provides a 4-year tuition to students from low-income families. Under the current program, 7th or 8th grade applicants must sign a pledge with the expectation that they must fulfill the pledge requirements, such as graduating with at least a C average and having no felonies. This bill would eliminate the requirements and enroll all eligible students in the program automatically, with no action required of the student. The public hearing was held in the House College and Workforce Development Committee last week and is scheduled for executive session today. Engrossed Substitute House Bill 1297 aims to provide a tax exemption for low-income working families after January of 2022 and would include $500 for eligible families with no children, $650 for families with one qualifying child, $800 for 2 children, and $950 for families with 3 or more children. The bill has passed out of the Senate Committee on Human Services, Reentry and Rehabilitation, and now advances to Ways and Means. And it's only fitting that we revisit ag legislation during National Ag Week. Bill 5172 was originally intended to prohibit courts from awarding retroactive overtime pay. The newest version of the bill has evolved to something nearly opposite from the original. Senator Schessler spoke passionately in response to the proposed amendments, which passed out of committee and was sent to the House.
You know, it was just 11 months ago, our dairy farmers across America were dumping milk on the ground because they couldn't sell it. And now we're kicking these people while they're down with retroactive and no relief. I just find it really hard after looking at all of the messages we received as committee members, how they work, how they treat their employees. And 11 months ago, they dumped their milk out with no money. I just don't believe in this, and I absolutely will be voting no.
A public hearing on the bill is scheduled for tomorrow, March 23rd, in the House Committee on Labor and Workforce Standards at 10 a.m. To testify or comment on this bill, go to ledge.wa.gov and click on the Let Your Voice Be Heard tab on the homepage. And as an FYI, this bill has already been scheduled for executive session on March 24th at 10 a.m. The Low Carbon Fuel Standard Bill continues to advance. Engrossed third substitute House Bill 1091 passed out of the Senate Committee on Environment, Energy, and Technology. It has been referred now to Ways and Means. The Chamber opposes this bill because the policy doesn't meet a high enough benefit standard and the fuel cost disproportionately affects rural areas. We will be following this bill closely and keep you posted on advocacy opportunities. COVID has brought to light the urgent need for greater access to affordable and reliable broadband internet. The issue is a top priority for the Chamber this year. I was able to testify in the House Community and Economic Development Committee on Wednesday in support of Senate Bill 5383, authorizing public utility districts and port districts to provide retail telecommunications services in unserved areas under certain conditions. It is scheduled for executive session today, and we are crossing our fingers that it advances. Second substitute House Bill 1076, the QUI-TAM bill, allowing whistleblowers to bring actions on behalf of the state for violations of workplace protections, has advanced. 1076 passed out of the Senate Committee on Labor, Commerce, and Tribal Affairs and is now in Ways and Means. The Chamber opposes this legislation because the only real winners, if this becomes law, will be the trial lawyers. As we head into week 12 of session, the Tri-City Regional Chamber will continue to be your voice for business and help keep you informed and connected. If you have any information on business-related bills you'd like to see included in next week's episode, let me know. Before you go, take a look at some bills that are on the docket for a public hearing this week. And if you see something that you feel strongly about, go to ledge.wa.gov to register to testify remotely or submit your comments in writing. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week.